we came back, we promised that we'd talk about something that can put an extra $2,000 in buyers' pockets when they buy their first home. And so what is this great program that's out there?
Laura, this really is a fantastic program for first-time buyers. When we say first-time buyer, any buyer who has not owned a home in the previous 3 years, what they can do is they can take a first-time buyer course online or at a local training place that offers the course. And once they take that course, and if they meet the income limits in the county, that's household income, husband, wife, anybody who's living in the house goes towards that income limit. Then once they buy the house, as long as they occupy that property, they can receive a mortgage certificate credit on their tax returns every year, which can then get them up to $2,000 back on their tax returns each year they occupy the property. Now what that does is that helps our buyers who are trying to buy a home, but they're just outside their stretch for being able to afford. That extra $2,000 goes a long ways towards helping them get a little bit more house, because we can use that as income to qualify for the loan. The only downside is if you sell the house inside of 10 years, you may be subject to a recapture tax if you meet certain IRS criteria for that.
You know, a lot of times when you're actually looking at whether you want to buy a house or whether you want to continue renting, when you look at there's a rent to mortgage calculator that determines based on your tax rate and all those kinds of things, if it is more advantageous for you to rent or buy. And most of the time we find that it actually is more advantageous for you to buy versus rent. But it's all an education process, isn't it?
Absolutely, and definitely if you can buy, it is a good thing to buy. One, you're building equity in a property or equity in your financial situation. Two, you might want to consult an accountant, but you do get tax advantages for buying a house. So
when you're thinking about it, you know, when you're looking at what you're paying in rent, you know, a lot of times your rent deposit and that kind of stuff is almost close to what your down payment would be, you know, to buy a house. It's a little bit more. So, you know, there's definitely some things that you can do to go ahead and purchase a home if you want to do that.
Absolutely. On an FHA loan with a $150,000 purchase price, the minimum investment is $5,250. Typically, you would have to pay the closing costs on top of that, but acceptable sources of a down payment, a lot of buyers, if they're a little bit short on the funds, they can go to a family member and get gift funds.
Mm-hmm.
Another source is if they've got a 401k or retirement plan. Many retirement plans will allow you to borrow against a 401k for a down payment. So there's ways to find the money if they're looking for a home and they're just a little bit outside of where they need to be.
Well, and I think that the mortgage criteria has loosened up a little bit in the last couple of years. I mean, when we were in the depth of the real estate crisis or whatever, and the mortgage crisis, I mean, it was really tough to get a loan.
It was, and every year we're seeing just a little bit of things here and there that are loosening up. So yeah, it's really not that tough right now. I've been doing this 20 years, as we said, and I've seen the good and the bad and the changes. The whole market has really changed. But overall, I mean, really, if you can afford to buy a house and you have reasonable credit, you should be able to buy.